Actually, I'm gonna, well, things happened, not things, but like, I think it dawned because it happened. Um, First of all, I had a realization that was funny. I was talking to a friend about non-duality. Um, and I don't know, she asked a question, and I said, listen, she said, um, I told her that if we took, like, we made a body with everything that needs to be there, like we could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, we put skin, a heart, veins,
A little
a brain.
Frankenstein. A little
Yeah,
Frankenstein. Mm.
but actually, and then you put everything together, and but the body is not alive.
Mm.
I mean, it's just a body. It's not a person. It's it
Mm.
has to be, there has to be life in it. I mean, everybody knows that, but
Mm.
that was funny. I don't know. I realized that, and like, where does this life come from?
Good question.
Where does, when does it decide to put itself in a body?
Good question. Yeah.
Well, it just does. And so,
What do
but
you
I
mean
don't
it
know.
just does?
It just,
Yeah.
and that's how I realized we are not a body at all.
Mm.
It's well, I knew that, but I don't know. And then after that, I saw Jazz video, and when you were telling her to really sit with, like, in the being, and you said, and then I don't know, it clicked. But because when you said it's prior to everything, it's prior to the feeling, it's prior to, and so I tried to go to this place that is prior to every feeling, or before that I couldn't do it. I don't know, it didn't happen. And I could go there. It's like a tiny point.
Mm.
It's like the root of everything, and it's
Mm.
the only thing that's not a thing.
Mm.
That's the only way I can explain it. It's the only thing that is not a thing.
Yeah.
And it's prior to, and I don't know,
Beautiful,
the
Julie.
mind says it's like
Yep.
here
Yep.
above, or,
Yep.
and with this finger thing with Tanya, the last video,
Mm.
I've had that before without the pointing finger.
Mm.
It just, it really feels like this 180 thing happened, but all of a sudden I don't know how, and it's like inward. I'm I know what the being is. I and it's nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. It's something else.
Mm.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say. And
Yeah.
since then, it's been a few days. Of course, the mind has been doing, like Julie. Well, there's not, but there have been uh, emotions, feelings, and like sometimes in the mind.
Mm.
And but I knew that when he was doing that, I was like, okay, I know how to go to what I am, but I'm not doing that right now. I don't know why, because actually, why? I mean, I don't know how to explain that. It's like, okay, now I know how to just be what I am, but sometimes I just don't care about it. I don't, I don't know if it makes sense. And the mind says, yeah, it's the mind all the time. Oh, okay. Oh, that's that. So, well, that's useless. It, to the mind, it doesn't seem like interesting or anything, but so I've been trying to go back there as often as I could, because even when I was working and doing things, I I do my best to really go back there, because you said that to Tanya. You said go back there, even just for a second.
Mm.
So it happens all the time. I go back there, and when I do, it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like I sit in what I really am, and then it's just from there that everything is.
Yep.
And but things are still there,
Yeah.
of course, if the mind says so. But sometimes, yeah, when I really do that, there are no thoughts,
Mm.
and it feels, I don't know, it feels like s- absolute peace. And
Mm.
I want to say to Sarah, I don't know why it happened. I just kept doing what Terry says, noticing what the mind does, and noticing that I'm not that. And at a point I was like, well, okay, I'm not that, I'm not that. But it was boring doing that. And at the same time, the mind does things, and I use it because, I mean, that's why I'm here. So, and sometimes, yeah, I go back to listening to the mind saying, oh, uh, what should I do? What I should do this, I shouldn't do that. What should I do now with this thing? How do I do now with this situation? And it's horrible. I just naturally say I don't want to go there, because it's just suffering. And but at the same time, I know suffering is okay. Um, I don't know. It's just releasing. I know it's always gonna happen. The mind is always creating a me, and persons and things you should do something about, and future, past. But at least I know what I am. I've really felt that, and I still do. I don't know. And it just happened, but it's not all the time. I mean, I'm not like but yeah, it's different than, I know that something happened, Terry. I really do. And I don't know, I didn't do anything to make it happen, because there's well, I did what I am, but really, Sarah, don't worry.
Mm.
It's, I mean, there's nothing to do. And I'm not, I mean, I'm still Julie in a way, but I know that Julie is not what I am. And when sometimes I see people and I don't see them. I don't know, they're like, um, it's like their body, it's funny. I look at them and I'm like, this is all just like phantoms, or
Mm.
well, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. And it's because of jazz video that I could experience and see that as well. Well, I mean, it just happened too. But yeah, that's cool. I feel good.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Julie.
yeah. Thanks, Julie.
Welcome, sir.
There's
Thanks, Julie.
that that I constantly keep pointing to, you know, as a dualistic character, you can't go there. It's still not possible. Can't go there. You
You
can't
really have
find it.
to drop everything.
Yeah.
It's really when I couldn't do that.
Mm.
It's really when you say that you really, it's not, the answer is not in the mind. It really isn't.
Mm.
It's outside of it.
Mm. And yet we use the mind to go to a certain point. Definitely. There's no doubt about that. We use it to go to a certain point. Yeah. But it's a wonderful instrument to use to come to understand what you're not. A wonderful instrument to use to come to understand what you're not. When that's fully understood, what you're not, now you got to put it down, because you can't take that mind with you to now discover what you actually are, because what you actually are is non-dual. So you can't take something dualistic with you to discover the non-dual, because if the dual could discover the non-dual, when it did, there'd still be two there, which would be the dual. So the dual can't discover the non-dual. The non-dual is self-revealing. Sorry, yeah, the non-dual is self-revealing when the dual drops away.
Yeah.
So it can be,
Yeah.
yeah, it can for a moment it can seem like a bit of a struggle. How do I put the mind down? How do I do that? Like, Jesus Christ. And it's just something that happens. It just there's
Yeah.
what happens is there's less and less interest in the mind, less and less interest in the content, less and less interest in the story, less and less and less and less. And then it just becomes more and more interest in something else that's not a thing. And that just happens naturally. But one of the key things that can bring that naturally thing on is coming to understand what you're not. It's crucial. Otherwise, what you're not is running around trying to find what it is. This is the craziness of that. What you're not is running around trying to discover what it is.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Like that's crazy. Yet that's
Yeah.
that's part of the process, though. It is part of the
It
process.
is.
You know, me character is I'm trying to work out what I am and what I'm not. So that I can, so me, Terry, can finally discover my true self. It doesn't dawn on us that if we're trying to discover true self, what the hell does that say about current self that's trying to discover true self? It can't be true. Current self can't be true. Why? Because it's trying to find true self. Why would you use a current self that's not true when that dawns on you? Then why would you use a current self that's not true to try and find true self? So
Yeah, it's not there. It's
yeah,
somewhere else.
yeah. So the key is coming to understand what you're not. That's the key. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
something starts to shift. The interest
Yeah.
starts to change. There's something else happening. That's a no thing that's happening. Like consciousness. Consciousness is not a thing. Doesn't have a boundary, a shape, a color, a form. It's not located. You can't say it's located in time or space or like, and yet we can't deny consciousness. Can't deny it.
Mm.
But it's not a thing.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not.
Not a thing.
No.
Yeah. Good, Julie. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Like
I know that's crazy.
yeah. To the mind. Yeah. What the hell's consciousness? To thoughts, what's consciousness?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the one, it doesn't matter, you're right. But it can't, the mind can't create something to even represent consciousness. Like it can't create something to represent space. Can't.
Or infinite.
Yeah, or infinite, yeah.
It,
It
yeah.
can't. It can't. That's when it collapses there at that point. And the infinite, I love this. As human beings, we think of the infinite as being endless space, that just the universe that's infinitely infinite. Whereas the infinite is actually talking about the now, right here, right now. Now is the infinite, because the now is not an increment. It's not a measurement. You can't squeeze time into now. If you can't squeeze time into now, and you also understand that the now has no beginning and no end, that's what infinite is. Has no beginning and no end. And now is the infinite, now. But the mind believes the now, you can check for yourself, right? The mind believes the now is an increment. It believes it's a measurement. It believes that the now has a beginning and an end. And then there's going to be a new now. And that's going to be, you know what I mean? Yeah. But
Yes, I
when,
do.
but if you really look at it, you know, when does one now end and a new now begin? Now we go to a direct experience and we try and find that. When does one now end and a new now begin? And you try and, because we've got to get past this idea of what the mind is creating around duality, around beginnings and endings and the start and the finish, the duality, the dual. And the mind believes 100% that the now is an increment. It does.
Yeah.
That's how it sets up the idea of the future and the past. With that belief, that the now is an increment. This now is now different from the previous now. Yeah? And the previous now has now finished, and the new now has now started and is here now. And then the previous now then goes back into the past, and that creates our past history. Then when you look at that, that's crazy shit, because that's
Yeah.
not what actually happens. That's just what the mind sets up to create a seeming past and a seeming future. The now is an increment.
And we need that to be
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
experiencing this.
100%.
Mm,
Even though time is a concept, it is needed to have this seeming dualistic experience. Even the idea of a now being an increment is needed to have this dualistic experience. But in your direct experience, when you actually go there, you discover it's actually not true. The now doesn't have a beginning or an end. There is no this now and a previous now. All there is, it's always and only simply now. And this now,
wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and this now is not dependent on a previous now, because there's never a previous now, because it's always and only just now. You can have a previous now. It's now, 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 and now, still now. now.
Yeah.
And each now is brand new and fresh. It's not dependent on a
Yeah.
previous now. It's not dependent on a previous now. It's brand new and fresh. So everything is just bursting into existence, brand new, fresh, for the very first time. This now. There's never been anything other than just this now. There's not a previous now or a previous now. And then this now is built upon the previous nows. That's not what's happening. That's the idea of the mind. That's how the concept of time is created and set up. The concept of here and now, or here and there, and this and that, and past and future. But in your direct experience, in your absolute direct experience. So I keep trying to get you to your direct experience. What information is there in your direct experience? What's actually happening? What's actually going on?